All right, seventh graders, today you need page 81. We have focused on surface area of rectangular prisms and triangular prisms using the formula 2b plus pH. You can actually still use that formula for cylinders. It just becomes a longer process actually. And so we develop it into its own formula to make us better mathematicians. So get out page 81. Let's look at how to find the surface area of a cylinder. Here we go. First, let's just refresh what a cylinder is. A cylinder is, of course, you ready? It is, of course, two circles connected to an unwrapped rectangle. Well, when it's a cylinder, it's curled up. When we uncurl it, this is what we have. So, and I turned it this direction, right? So to label what we have, here's the piece of information given to me in the original. This measurement of 10 now, because I flipped it this way, is now right here. So this is the 10 right here. Those are the pieces that match. If you imagine taking the soup can, standing it upright, unrolling it, this is 10. Now I want you to also notice that that 10 is the distance between the circles, which we called the height of the prism. And that's still what's going on here. That 10 is the distance between the circles. So it's the height of the cylinder. Okay, the 10 is the height. I'm gonna write that right here, equals H. That's the height of the cylinder. All right, well, when we unwrap it though, it's the height of the rectangle as well. Now in our circles here, this line right here is 6. So if I just want the radius, which is all I need for these, that's gonna be 3. These are circles, each with a radius of 3. Let's start with that part, okay? Because I know the area of a circle, I'm going to do this. The surface area of this cylinder is going to be 2 circles, and those circles are pi r squared, right? So 2 pi r squared. The pi r squared is how you find the area of one circle. And why did I put the 2 on it? Well, because there's 2 circles, so I'm going to times that by 2. Instead of just typing it in my calculator and finding it, I'm trying to show out for myself the mathematics behind it so I can be a better mathematician and figure out some patterns here. Now, what I need to add to that is I need to add to that the rectangle. I know it's just base times height, which is 10 times something. This is where things get tricky, is what is that something? Oh, you know what? That something is the circumference, which is diameter times pi. And what was the diameter? Oh, it was 6. So I am going to add to that the diameter times pi, which is 6 times pi. And I'm going to times that by 10. That's the area of the rectangle. Base times height. Okay, base times height. Now, once I get that all in there, and actually remember also that that diameter is 2r. So I could have just written 2 times 3, right? I can actually type this all in if I'm careful. I'm going to go 2 pi times 3 squared. See how I type that all? And if I type it the way I've written it there, then my calculator knows that's all multiplying. My calculator will know the order of operations if I type this in correctly. So I'm going to keep going. Plus 6 pi times 10. I'm typing it all in at once. You can totally do this on Desmos as well. Bam. Huh, look at that. 200, the surface area of this cylinder is 245.04 meters squared. Surface area is still measured in squares. I could have done it separately as well. I could have gone 3 squared times pi, and then I could have times that by 2 and kept track of that number, 56.55. So the 2 circles are 56.55. That's the 2 circles. Okay, that's the 2 pi r squared. And then this part, the 6 pi times 10 is 188.4, okay, 50. That's the rectangle part. And then of course I could add those together. And 245.04. But if you understand how to set up the entire thing at once, it makes your calculator work a lot easier. This is still 2b plus pH. That's still what it is. 2b plus pH. But for a cylinder, since the B is always a circle, the capital B, and the P is always perimeter or circumference, It's actually easier for a cylinder if we just give it its own formula with radius and height in it. Instead of capital B and capital P, because every time we're going to have to go, okay, for a circle, it's this. Okay, for a circle, it's really the circumference. That's more complicated. The 2B plus PH works really well for rectangular, triangular, hexagonal, all those basic type of polygon prisms. For a cylinder, circles just need to get their own thing. That's how it works. So it's circles getting their own thing here. So the surface area of a cylinder, you ready? This is my favorite one to say. It's two circles. So it's 2 pi r squared plus that big rectangle, which we could put diameter times pi times height because that's circumference. But actually, if we put diameter in terms of radius, that's one less variable that I need. Mathematicians really know what they're doing when they're writing these formulas. They're trying to make them as easy as possible. So instead of diameter times pi, they're going to do 2 pi r because the 2r is diameter. And then we times it by the height. This really is 2B plus PH. It's just the specific one for cylinders. Let's say it out loud. Ready? 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. It really rolls when you get used to it. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi rh. Practice saying it a few times. Get used to how it feels on your tongue. Understand that it's 2 pi r squared and then 2 pi again rh. Now we're going to use this for cylinders. But first, look, there's a question over here. This is going to be important to us. How are surface area and volume different? Well, why are they asking about that? Well, because eventually we're going to do some volume. Surface area is the number of squares it takes to cover a figure. That could be like, how much wrapping paper do you need to wrap a present? That could be how much cardboard do you need to make the Kleenex box? That could be how much paint do you need to paint that tent? Do you paint tents? I don't know. But surface area is the number of squares it takes to cover a figure versus volume. Volume is an entirely different thing. Volume is the number of cubes it takes, to fill a figure. And if you don't fully understand that one yet, you will, okay? But understand that that's the difference. We're even going to write that again later. But surface area is the number of squares it takes to cover the figure. That's what we're working on right now, where volume is the number of cubes it takes to fill a figure. That's different. Okay, let's practice surface area of a cylinder. This formula looks really big and complicated, but actually when you focus on what's going on, most of it is what we call constants, stuff that's just always in it. Like both of these just start with 2 pi every time. Those are never going to change. Those are just numbers. And then when you look at the actual variables, you realize there's only two things we need. We need R and we need H, and that's it. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write down what's R and what's H. Notice also that these are lowercase letters. That's why this formula is actually easier than it seems. Because unlike the other surface area formula where we had capital B, okay, that means I have to calculate something. Capital P, that means I have to calculate something. These lowercase numbers are just right there in the picture. Do you see them? The radius is 12. And the height is the distance between the two circles. It's the height of the prism. The height of the cylinder is 4. It's all just right there in the picture. That's why they're lowercase numbers. Now I am ready to take that and put it into my surface area formula. Ready? 2 pi r squared plus, sometimes I can't always fit it in an entire row, 2 pi r h. All I had to do was get R and H, plug it in there. You need to write this because if you're going to type it all in your calculator at once, you need to write that down first so that you can see it. Now you are ready to type it all in. Here we go. 2 pi r squared. I'm typing it exactly how I wrote it. And actually, it doesn't matter if that squared is inside the parentheses or outside of it. It's all fine. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r H. See that? Bam. Okay. The surface area of this cylinder is 1,206.37 inches squared. If you have any trouble typing it into your calculator, if you're like, I typed it in and I did not get that answer, bring your calculator over to me and let me look at it, or send me a screenshot or something, message me and say, I'm typing something in my calculator wrong, and I will help you figure it out, because that's an important piece of this. All right, let's try it again. I only need R and H. That's it. That's all I need. Okay, what's the radius? 5.2. What's the height? 2.3. That's all I need. And it's right there in the picture. They're not capital letters, so I don't have to calculate them. They're just right there. So now I'm ready to go. Surface area is 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. Once I've got it all written out using my formula, at that point, I can type it in my calculator. 2 pi r squared. See how I'm typing it in? Plus, now I'm going to run out of room, so it scrolls over, but it's really all still in there. 2 pi, as it starts to scroll, this stuff is not disappearing. It's still there. 5.2 and 2.3. And you can see, I can even go back and look at it and see, okay, it's all there. I typed it all in. You can type this all in Desmos. Enter. The surface area of this cylinder is 245.04 centimeters squared. At first, this formula looks big and scary. I actually think it's easier. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. It's all about just finding r and h. One more time. Careful here. Careful. What's r? 11. 22 is the diameter. R is 11, h is 25, the distance between the circles. Then all you have to do is go 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. If you know the formula and you know how to find r and h, after that, it's just calculator work. Look, and some people are like, do I need all the parentheses? No, parentheses means multiply. So you could type it like this, 2 pi r squared. Oh, let me show you all what it wants. Here we go. 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi times 11 times 25. So you can either do parentheses or multiplication. That's what it all means. We got 2,488.14 yards squared. Surface area of cylinder. So what you need to be able to do for this standard is you need to understand 2b plus pH and use that for rectangular and triangular prisms. And you need to know 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. That's for cylinders. Give your quiz a try. Let me know if you have any questions.